So, no swimming update other than to mention that I'm having a week off courtesy of a very, very irritating bug I picked up. So, nothing more than I'll start clanging and banging in the garage this week. But what having a week off enables you to do is to reflect upon your progress. You may remember I said some time ago that when you're working towards something, you have a pyramid. At the top of the pyramid is your aim or your goal. Underneath that are your metrics by which you monitor your progress. And underneath that is the process which supports the entire thing. Now, I'm a creature of habit. And as a creature of habit and a former squad swimmer, I would always swim at the same pool, the same time early in the morning, in the same lane. Now, pools in the morning, for those of you who are not swimmers, are an immensely serene place. They are extremely quiet, they're very, very still. The only sound you hear is the sound of the slapping of the water. And you'll occasionally hear the bark of a coach who's calling out timing, tempo, distance and the like. And occasionally here in Melbourne, when we get very, very clear nights, you will actually get a layer of fog over the pool so you can't see the end of the pool. It makes for people like me, an almost spiritual experience. Swimming is very meditative for me because it is a cadence and rhythm. But I'd noticed I'd started to swim later in the day and at different pools, which is simply not my standard operating procedure. And so I'd been reflecting upon why that is. And I looked at the way I do things or did things. And when I would swim, you prop yourself in a lane that is akin to or next to where you get squad swimmers for school squads, athletic squads, tri-squads. And as is my habit, you would try and match their pace, their distance, their timing, all of that. They would act as almost like a rabbit in a greyhound race for you. They give you someone to chase, someone to follow. But I realised, and I probably realised this subconsciously, that at my current state of recovery, I'd not be able to do that. And so I would reflect upon my progress as a function of what my expectation was of the past. And I would be subject to what is known as the thief of joy. You see, if your starting point is here, and you're measured to here, that's very, very, very good for you because that's progress. There's no point you saying, well, I started here, but other people are here, and comparing your journey to theirs, because everyone's journey is different. And the thief of joy actually exists all around us, and it's much more prevalent now with social media. And I can see how young people, particularly young teens, struggle with this notion that their life must be perfect because social media presents the illusion to them that everybody else's life is perfect. That people have perfect hair, perfect skin, perfect bodies, perfect partners. They go by the bullshit tagline, which immediately, to me, identifies someone as a narcissist, which says, living my best life. No, you're a narcissistic wanker. That's all you are. But you can see why young people, when they see this illusion that is presented to them, particularly young girls, when they see someone who has probably photographed themselves 160 to 200 times early in the morning, photoshopped it on a set, and then placed it on social media with the tag, just got up. Bullshit, you just got up. It's a photo shoot. But for some reason, young people cannot separate that illusion from the reality of the world they see. They think that is the real world. This is the pervasive power of social media. But the interesting thing is that no one is immune to this notion of the thief of joy. We have this notion of comparison with others. And this is part of the problem in trading because trading gives readily available metrics for which you can compare yourself to others. And the unfortunate thing is that just as social media for teens is full of liars, social media for adults is the same. For example, before working out this morning, I did a quick scan of LinkedIn. I had the never-ending run of spam messages that I had to delete and get rid of. And I had a quick look. And of course, it's full of people who, strangely enough, have equity curves that never have a down day. It's quite remarkable. Their equity curve starts here and goes there, and it's almost linear. And when you look at the stats, they claim that at most they've had 2 losing days in a row. And their rate of return per month is something stupid. The unfortunate thing is that traders who are naive or lacking in confidence as to what they're doing, lacking in confidence as to their process, progress and goal, will see that and assume that it's real. On my Twitter feed, I have several hedge fund managers who post their returns for a month. And it might be, plus 50 grand, plus 60, plus 80. And people will look at that and think, well, I have a $10,000 account. Why am I not making $80,000 a month? Well, here's the rub. They're probably trading 5 to 10 million. And when you break down the statistics and look at them, their expectancy is actually quite poor. On a normalised basis, their returns are quite poor. But what you're seeing is the heft that having a vast amount of capital generates for you. But all these things do is act as a thief of joy. They take away from what you're attempting to do and what you might have done, because you have this sense of false comparison. You're comparing yourself to someone else's journey is different. Their point in their journey is different to you, and their end point will be different to you. So the only thing that matters is what your journey is. So if your journey, as I said, is you start here and you're now here, granted your aim might be to be way, way over here. That's progress, provided you have a process in place that takes into account the fact that movement towards a goal is a non-linear process. It is episodic or punctuated. For example, I knew full well that I would have weeks like this, that I would have to take off. I'd have to take a week to 10 days out of the diary, remove any sort of vaguely intense cardiovascular work, and just clang and bang. But that's because I've been down this road before. That you know that when you've been an athlete, that there are setbacks, there are little things that trip you up, there are annoyances, there are injuries, life gets in the way, shit happens. The same is true in trading. The expectation that trading returns are linear is a naive one. I understand where it comes from. I understand that the media is full of these stories of people who purport to have linear returns. And I understand that even though people say they do not take notice of these things, they actually do. They somehow wheedle their way into your subconscious, and they act as a little voice that says, well, they did that. Why are you not doing that? What's wrong with you? You must be some sort of loser. And all of a sudden, as a trader, you're sort of, look, I'll use the expression mental health. Your fragile mental health begins to erode and unravel a little bit. Add that to 1 or 2 knocks through losses, through a drawdown, and you begin to question the end point. You begin to question the aim you had. There's a few things you can do about that. 1, revisit the end point. Go back and look at why you're actually doing this. Look at what your end point is. Now, I must caution, many people have a somewhat silly end point that can't be quantified or measured, such as, I wish to have a hedge fund in the Bahamas. Well, that's all well and good, but how do you put in place the metrics underneath to track your progress towards that? It's a little bit like the notion of, I wish to be a full-time trader. Okay, that's all well and good. That's a worthwhile aim. That's something you can aspire to. But what are the metrics? How do you get there? A better metric would be, I'm going to follow my trading plan for a quarter, and at the end of this quarter, I will revise all the trades I've taken. I'll put a tick against those that completely matched my trading plan, and I'll put a cross against those that didn't. And I'll try and work out why I continue to take trades that do not meet my trading criteria. Notice I didn't say you'll try and work out how much money you've made, because that's a poor metric. That ebbs and flows, comes and goes. Because all things are process. Your trading is a process, my recovery is a process. If the process is sound and correct, then you can measure that, and eventually it will track you towards your goal, aim, aspiration, whatever that is, provided you can quantify it and break it down into smaller bits. Large nebulous goals are difficult. They cause problems because we can't see an end point, but you can see an end point with saying, I will follow my trading plan for a quarter and then review. So it is a natural cutoff. There is an ablation point in what we're trying to do. We can then apply metrics to that because we tick the trades that followed our plan. We put a cross against those that didn't. And then we do something interesting. We work out how much not following our plan has cost us. Because once you assign a dollar metric to things, things start to take on a greater degree of clarity. But, and there's always a but, along the way, you must find ways to insulate yourself against others. And you must find ways to insulate yourself against the thief of joy, because it does exist and it is a real thing. And it will strip from you any sense of achievement that you've garnered so far. And if it does that, then what it will also do is stop your momentum. You'll come to a screeching halt. It's almost like you've run into a brick wall. And then there's a chance that you will give up. And as the old hackneyed saying goes, nobody ever got anywhere by giving up.